Welcome back. Now, let's talk about something that weight loss therapists call urge surfing. G. Allen Marlett defined this as riding the waves of your urges. If you remember, when I described the nature of urges, I said that they come and go, sort of like waves come and go, which is why surfing is a pretty apt description here. Up until now, you've learned that trying to fight or control your emotions is counterproductive. You've also learned the importance of accepting any emotions you might be feeling. Now let's take the idea of acceptance one step further and apply it to urges. How to stop fighting your urges in a counterproductive manner, and how to accept them instead without giving in to them. Let's say you walk past a box of donuts and you notice that you're really craving one. What should you do? First, accept the fact that you want a donut. Admit that the urge is there. Don't try to deny the fact that you're feeling that urge. Don't try to fight the urge. Don't try to make it go away, and don't try to control it. Instead, accept that it's there and ride it. Pay attention to how that urge feels. I mean, really physically. Does your stomach gurgle a little, maybe releasing some digestive enzymes in anticipation? Do you find it hard to look away from the donuts? Do you notice all the other people who are taking one? Watch the urge. Observe it. Now, I'll be honest, this is not super pleasant, and it might not be super fun. But the truth is, when you face an urge like this, when you bring it out into the light, I think you'll find that it's not nearly as bad as you think. You'll notice that after just a few moments, the urge starts to ebb. It starts to go away. Just like a wave after it crashes against the beach, it's going to pull back. The tide draws it back, and your urges do the same. And when you can successfully surf your urges like this, not giving in to them but not fighting them either, you'll gain a great sense of empowerment. You'll realize that you're not a slave to any momentary urge that creeps up in your life. And that's really a great feeling. It turns out that we can learn a lot about urges from brain imaging studies of people with obsessive compulsive disorder. See, a person with OCD experiences many compelling urges throughout the day. A frequent one is hand washing. People with OCD often get the urge to wash their hands, and they might feel the need to do it 5 times in a row, or else they can't relax. They'll obsess over the fact that their hands might have germs on them. So what, you ask? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Brain images of these people show that their brains fire differently than a normal person's. And this difference in their brain causes a greater feeling of panic, along with a reduced ability to change their focus. In other words, they can't think about anything else until they satisfy the urge. But when these people begin to accept their urges and surf them in the way that I just described to you, their brain starts to fire normally again. In order for this to happen, they have to recognize the urge for what it is. In other words, instead of focusing on all the germs on their hands, they focus on the fact that they have an urge. They relabel it. Similarly, brain imaging studies of emotional eaters show that their brains fire differently in response to junk food. But by accepting your urges, relabeling them as an urge, and surfing them until they go away, you can also rewire your brain to fire normally again. Now you might be wondering, what happens if you mess up and give in to an urge? Well, if this does happen, just think of it as a wipeout. As any surfer in the world, if they've ever wiped out, ask any surfer in the world if they've ever wiped out, and they'll all tell you it's part of learning how to surf. So don't feel bad. It's okay. It's bound to happen. Just try again next time. This is a skill, and you will get better at it. Finally, I want to introduce you to 2 terms: fixed mindset and growth mindset. A fixed mindset means that you tend to assume that you are the way you are and that you cannot change the way you are. So, for example, if you try to surf an urge and then you give in to the urge and eat the donut, you would tell yourself, I can't do it, or urge surfing doesn't work. On the other hand, if you have a growth mindset, you'll realize that while you probably won't be that good at any new skill, over time you will get better. In other words, if you try to surf an urge and you end up giving in and eating the donut, if you have a growth mindset, you'll tell yourself, okay, here's what I did wrong. Next time, I'll do this instead. Or, okay, that didn't work, but I'm sure I'll get better. In a growth mindset, you assume that it's possible to grow and improve and get better. Needless to say, you want to start to foster a growth mindset and realize that the more you practice urge surfing, the better you'll get.